You are tuned on to DBS television, and this is the news in the English language, which comes at 7 p.m. exactly. But before we get into the news in full, let's get our headlines. Enough is enough with growing insecurity and immorality within the school milieu. To put an end to this growing evil within the school milieu in Cameroon, the Ministry of Secondary Education is actively seeking out solutions. And easing oneself while out of home or in public places in the town of Nkongsamba is way more difficult than it should be. Reason being the great shortage of public toilets in this part of the country. Get a look at this situation in this newscast that is when we return shortly. Stay with us. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us for this 7 p.m. edition of the news, which is in the English language with me, Cynthia Nguemo. We begin the news with this piece of information that just got to us now, where a fire incident has occurred this evening in one of the areas of the Dakar neighborhood that is in the Douala 3 subdivision. Observers say the fire started from a room in the area where a man is known to have been carrying out the sales of contraband petrol products. While no human life loss has been recorded, there is, however, enormous material damage. We shall bring more of this story to you in our subsequent editions of the news. In other stories, the need to reinforce capacities of guardian counselors as well as guard against increasing violence as well as moral decadence in schools has been the topic of discussion between the Minister of Secondary Education and the network of female parliamentarians. This was in a ceremony organized this day in Yaoundé by the boss of secondary education in Cameroon. It comes in prelude to or in the wake of immoral scenes within school milieus in Cameroon. Ate Bonaventure completes the story.
Law and order.
The multiplying cases of violence and juvenile delinquency in schools has led to many asking questions as to who is to take the blame. The meeting between the Minister of Secondary Education and female lawmakers is to exchange ideas and look for a way forward.
We wanted to raise the awareness and to tell people that we have a problem which affects the whole society. There's no finger pointing. It doesn't help anybody to finger point because we have to redeem the society. We must save the children. This new society that is coming up, there's something. We can't leave the children alone.
The different participants have taken turns to decry some disciplinary lapses such as drug abuse that need to be corrected.
When the children go back home, they're on their own. But should they be on their own? No. So there is something that we have to do. And that is why I decided that I should first of all make people aware that they should not be doing any finger pointing. Of course, we are going to say there is A, B, C, and they have different roles. We are going to point out the different roles and show what is wrong. We have to make the parents come back to their responsibility.
Also present were students who acknowledged the fact that deviant behavior is also a result of negative use of social media.
I am not encouraging to appreciate the Minister of Secondary Education, but I congratulate her because she has a very big initiations. Because in this occasion, I can have the power of sensitize my classmates about the danger of social media and drugs.
The female parliamentarians have promised to engage a debate on juvenile delinquency and a way forward in the ongoing parliamentary session.
Cameroon and Nigeria have engaged in the strengthening of bilateral relations, this through trade and tourism for the growth and sustainable development in both countries. This was in an award ceremony organized yesterday in Douala, where outstanding citizens of both countries were awarded prizes in recognition of their hard work and participation in development for both countries. Details of the story with Mange Venasius.
Two brotherly and friendly countries, bound by nature to coexist without their concerns. Cameroon and Nigeria have come a long way in strengthening bilateral relations, relations that bring their peoples together in different aspects of life. In Douala, the trade and tourism for growth and sustainable development was one of those areas being used to consolidate those natural ties for a better living condition of their people.
We are not here by accident. Nigeria is not beside Cameroon by accident. Cameroon is not across Nigerian border by accident. So God has a plan for putting us beside each other. And what we need to do is discover what is best in each other, exploit it, and make the best out of it to make life better for our people. And that is the essence of what we are doing.
A concept which is expected to spread from a mere bilateral relations to a continental level in which Africans' integration could become a reality. A kind of going back to the pre-colonial Africa when Africa was one. A brainchild of the Dangote Cement Cameroon that has opted to solidly cement such relationships as the one between the two countries.
To see how we can improve the level of our investment in Cameroon. So we are feeling ourselves as the Dangote Group ambassadors, because we are the flagship of the country. So this is helping us strengthening relationship between both countries. And I think this goes with business, it goes with trade, it goes with cultural exchange, and it goes with brotherhood. So this is our way we are trying to cement this relationship and to create a prosperous Africa.
Gathered in Douala, March 22nd, 2021, this was an opportunity to encourage Cameroonians as well as Nigerian outstanding men and women in their endeavors to spearhead the development of both countries.
For this award, the award of today, because I've accompanied the Nigerian community since decades here in Douala, and I'm very close to the High Commission and the Consul General. And, you know, I accompany them as a lawyer. And, you know, each time there is an event, I'm requested, I'm invited to give talks on societal issues, academic issues, and issues that have to do with investment.
A red carpet ceremony that saw the participation of local administrators from both Cameroon and Nigeria. The governors of the littoral and west regions represented, as well as the Nigerian Consul Generals for littoral and southwest regions present for the ceremony. As home will always remain home, the rich Nigerian cultural heritage thrilled the guests, many of whom saw themselves in their native towns and villages thousands of miles away.
If you just joined us, you are on to DBS television and this is the news. As we mentioned on the headline, the issue of lack of toilets in public places in the town of Nkongsamba, that is in the Mungo division of the littoral region, is a serious problem that urgently needs to be looked into. The people say some toilets have been constructed but haven't been put into public use, reason why the difficulty persist. This is what Mariam Fujio tells us in the following story.
The lack of toilets in markets and public places is gradually becoming a massive problem in Nkongsamba, Mungo division in the littoral region of Cameroon. 3 years ago, public toilets have been built but are still not operational.
We can't ease ourselves because of unavailability of toilets. Toilets have been built, but they are still not operational. We have to take bike to the house and back just to ease ourselves.
The divisional delegate of water and energy, being the principal authority, couldn't be contacted due to lack of availability on his part. The lack of public toilets in markets and places is a real problem in Nkongsamba. Those who spend their day in town behind the market counters often have to go home to ease themselves before getting back to their business places. That is, if they do not use the toilets in bars and snacks.
I come in the morning, and if I feel as to ease myself, I go to a bar to ease, where I pay about 100 francs CFA. You see, there's no public toilet in the market.
Some have the intelligence to set up private paid toilets, but very little known to the public, and if they are known to the public, at the time they do not satisfy everyone.
Every day, double their prices of store, no toilet. You could eat something, have diarrhea, and even pull on your legs. Since years that they are building, it's never operational. People pull in plastics and throw elsewhere.
The municipal toilets, which served to meet the needs of traders, had been transformed by the former government delegate De Colo Basile to a shopping center, so many had taken precedence over the basic needs of life.
I wonder if these people know that we suffer to gain the money that they rip off from us. We are very disappointed. At the town framers of Nkongsamba, we suggested that the toilet should be open since a year now, but still nothing was done.
The current mayor of the city, Zoki Epo Frederic, is trying for a short time to find solutions to this problem by putting pressure on the owners so that the public toilets built to solve this problem are operational in the near future. But while waiting, Nkongsamba traders still have to go through ordeal.
We now take you to Yaoundé Force to discover a restaurant that specializes in African meals. The catering known as Otaro was opened recently with a special treat for its very first visitors. In the following report, Ate Bonaventure says it is an initiative of a young and enterprising Cameroonian woman who wishes to bring innovation to the sector. His report.
A restaurant of reference that seeks to make a reference. Otaro officially opens its doors to inhabitants of Emombo Deuxième in Yaoundé 4 and environs. They came out of curiosity and are marveled with the culinary savoir-faire of this young Cameroonian whose specialty is local dishes. Donna Dante says cooking has been her passion and her aim is to promote the consumption of local dishes from the different regions of Cameroon. Despite the afternoon downpour, it was rather a convivial atmosphere that welcomed visitors who are offered free plates of the day's menu, which is achu and ero. The young entrepreneur believes that her eatery will enable the inhabitants of the neighborhood enjoy a rich and balanced diet, especially as the nearby restaurants only deal with fast food. Sanitary measures have been put in place to ensure cleanliness and hygiene.
You can always stop by there to enjoy some Cameroonian dishes, of course. And now we take you to news out of Cameroon, beginning with Niger, where at least 137 people have been killed in recent attacks by armed bandits. This is in the western part of the country where they share borders with Mali. In Israel, which is out of the African continent, voters went to the poll today to elect a new prime minister for themselves. This is the second in 2 years. This is the fourth time that the people are going to the polls for the same reason, where they are contesting or wishing to put out Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Details of these stories with Rogia Tububa.
In southwestern Niger, at least 137 people have been killed by suspected gunmen who attacked villages along Mali border, making it one of the deadliest of recent in a country ravaged by Islamist extremism. The coordinated attacks underscore the greatest challenge facing Mohamed Bazoum, Niger's new president, whose election victory in a runoff vote last month was confirmed. According to the government statement, reinforced security and sanitary measures will be taken in the region, and an investigation has been launched to find the perpetrators of these cowardly and criminal acts. The government has declared 3 days of national mourning from today. In Israel today, March 23rd, voters have headed to the polls for an unprecedented general election, the fourth in 2 years, with the nation still divided over whether Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu deserves to remain in office. Polling stations were opened across Israel, with some 6.5 million registered voters set to vote. Opponents accuse Netanyahu, who has been prime minister for 15 years, of poor management of the coronavirus pandemic, and also he is unfit to rule at a time when he is on trial for multiple charges. Final results may not be known for days.
That brings us to the end of the news for today on DBS Television. Thank you for watching, and do well to stick with us to enjoy the rest of your evening. See you tomorrow. Good night.